everyone, it's Paul with Cruise Planners Getaway Gang, and I hope you're having an awesome day. I decided to pop on today, and it is Friday, May the 8th, to talk about where we're at with some of the cruise line operational updates. It seems to change every day, and it may change again tomorrow. So remember, this applies today on May the 8th, and will continue to change, I'm sure, over the coming weeks and months. We talked some on Tuesday in our show about Carnival's big announcement in terms of their schedule for later in the year, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. But overall, I wanted to cover the six top cruise lines in the U.S., Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Princess, Holland America, and Carnival, and kind of what they're looking like in terms of when they expect at this moment to get back into cruising, and some of what they're offering those who've had their cruises canceled. Before anything can happen and anyone can sail again, and I know we all are anxious to get out of the house, take a cruise, take a trip, whatever that may be, the CDC must lift the No Sail Order that they've got going on right now. It either has to be lifted or it has to expire, and if it was just to be left until it expired, the current date is July 24th. So as it stands now, if nothing changed in terms of that decree, no one could sail before July 24th. I expect that date will be tweaked and it may be extended. I doubt that it'll be earlier than that. I mean, who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. But that kind of is behind all of this. And until now, all the cruise lines have been mainly just trying to kick the can down the road and figure out the next date where they can deal with this chunk of cruises that has to be canceled, and then, set the date. So none of these dates are like, I can't say that they would fully expect to sail by these dates necessarily, because some of them are still, they're coming up pretty fast. So the first one I want to talk about is Norwegian. Obviously, you've probably heard about them in the news. Earlier this week, there was some grim news that they worried about a bankruptcy, and their stocks plummeted even more. The good news is they have raised $2 billion in additional capital to help them stay afloat, and their CEO now says that they actually have enough liquidity to last 18 months, as long as 18 months into the future without cruising going on. And that's great news, because Norwegian has always been one of my favorites. And when I got back into cruising a few years ago, they were my first sort of reintroduction. So they have a special place in my heart, and the heart of Eddie and his wife Susie and my wife Stephanie. We've all traveled a good bit on Norwegian. They have now canceled all sailings through June 30th. That is their current date. I honestly expect that to be extended further. If they've canceled a cruise on you, they're offering 125% future cruise credit, meaning you can get a whole other 25% value on the money you've paid in towards your future cruise, or they're offering a full refund. It can take a long time, up to 90 days. With all of these cruise lines, because they're just so swamped in processing changes and refunds. They're also offering a thing where if you book a cruise now, any cruise between now, any date that's on their calendar at least, through September 30th, you can decide to cancel yourself and still receive a full credit, 100% credit to be used through December of 2022. So they're sort of as an incentive for you to book now, they're offering you that option. Moving on to Royal Caribbean and also Celebrity, they're owned by the same company and have the same dates and offers and rules at present. They actually are only currently suspended through June 11th. I fully expect this to be extended. That's even well before the CDC's order expiration. So I expect to hear from them maybe in the next week or so. I check every morning on Royal and Celebrity. They have officially canceled all of their Alaska, Canada, and New England cruises through July 1st because those ports that service that in Canada as well as a country is just closed until that point. So they couldn't even have cruises running to Alaska before then if they wanted to. They're offering a Cruise with Confidence offer where you can cancel any trip on your own that hasn't been canceled already up to August 1st and can get a full credit. You must use that by December of 2021. And for sailings that they've canceled so far, they've been offering that 125% future cruise credit or a refund. They are also offering what they're calling a best price guarantee, which means basically if your cruise that you book now goes down in price in the future, you'll get that lower price automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. And also something interesting called lift and shift, where, for instance, say you had a sailing in June for Alaska this summer that got canceled, and you just want to take the same itinerary, the same length, the same cabin type, and just move it a year forward into June of 2021. They're offering the ability to do that without changing the price of your cruise. It just has to be within 4 weeks next year of when you would have sailed this year. So say it was mid-June of 2020, you'd have that 4-week window surrounding mid-June of 2021 to have that same cruise. That's a nice, easy way to just postpone that trip for a year. There was some news this week, and this was big news. I talked to one of my friends about this, about Princess and also Holland America, who we'll talk about next, have basically canceled their sailings until November, is what it boils down to. Princess listed all of the sailings specifically. They took a very detailed approach with their cancellations. They've canceled all remaining Alaska, Canada, and New England, and Europe cruises and cruise tours in 2020. So they will not be going to any of those places the remainder of the year. All the remaining Australian and Caribbean cruises are canceled through August at this point. Japan cruises through October 1st, and Taiwan cruises in July. And all fall 2020 Tahiti and French Polynesia cruises on the Pacific Princess have also been canceled. Princess caters to an older demographic, and many of their itineraries, as you can hear from what I was just saying, they involve longer travel to and from their port of embarkation. And so it complicates things. We may not even be able to leave on an international flight by the time that some of more local Caribbean cruises are taking off, we hope. So that's why they've kind of extended further out. And plus, obviously, older clientele are higher risk. They are offering a 125% future cruise credit, much like the other companies. This one must be used by May 1st of 2022. If you've made only a deposit and you haven't paid in full, they're offering, if you leave the deposit with the company, they will double that deposit for you for your future cruise. Holland America also is in the same boat. They cater to an older demographic. They have further flung ports of call, more travel required to get there. So they're in a similar boat. They've canceled all Alaska, all Europe, Canada, New England cruises for the remainder of 2020. And there won't be the 79-day Grand Africa voyage on the Amsterdam as well. That was to leave on October 3rd. All of their Asia cruises remaining in 2020 have been canceled. And so they're essentially shut down until at least November. They don't cruise as heavily in places like the Caribbean that are closer to home and easier to access, perhaps, as cruising returns. For those who have been affected by the most recent cancellations, you can get 125% future cruise credit. It does expire within a year of issue, so it needs to be booked within a year, and you must sail by December of 2022. Again, like Princess, they're offering the double your deposit offer. To keep deposit on the books, they'll double that money for you to be booked on a future cruise. So now, finally, Carnival. They made big news this week. They're the first ones to sort of come forth with a perhaps more realistic and measured plan for a return to service. They will at first only operate 8 ships out of Port Canaveral, Miami, and Galveston for the month of August. So they plan, starting on August 1st, to resume cruising just in those 3 cities on 8 different ships. Most of the rest of their ships would come back online by September 1st, or on September 1st, I should say. Most of the rest of their fleet, assuming that that first month goes well and things don't go south, which we obviously hope don't happen. All sailings on the Sunrise, the Legend, the Radiance, and the Spirit are canceled into October That exact date varies by ship. What they're offering, unlike the other cruise lines, is 100% future cruise credit to those cruises that they've canceled. And instead of that extra 25% to be used towards a cruise fare, they're offering anywhere between a $300 and $600 onboard credit. That's a lot of onboard credit that you can use for spa and restaurants, shore excursions, and all of that to really get a lot more out of your vacation. So they're offering that 100% plus the onboard credit. You need to book by the end of this year and sail by the end of 2022 to get the extra onboard credit. It's a pretty sweet deal. We've rebooked several clients and a couple groups with that deal. To wrap things up, my final thoughts. What will the future of cruising look like? And I want to talk more about this in some upcoming videos. But I read today that the Norwegian CEO thinks it'll look a lot like what is happening at that time on land. And I agree with that. So as things begin to reopen, we're going to see super strict testing, not just before, but throughout the cruise, increased medical facilities on board, more doctors. You're going to see buffets go away, no more anything that you get to touch. You're going to see cruise lines perhaps sailing with reduced capacity on purpose, just keeping some rooms blocked out so that there is a natural bit of social distancing by booking less people onto these larger ships. You're going to see ultra sanitization, not just increased hand sanitization stations, which already are prevalent on ships, but washing sheets and towels and super hot water, all of the laundry being upped in temperature, and even social distancing and mask wearing, especially early on. And we'll begin to see as things open up in the coming months what that's going to look like. Don't expect cut rate deals. That's my opinion. I think there'll be perks, there'll be incentives, but I really don't think cruise lines are going to deeply slash their rates. So plan like you used to plan. Watch for a nice deal, some perks, and plan on traveling in the coming months and into the next couple years at a time and for an itinerary that is most attractive to you. These are my thoughts today on May the 8th, and I'll continue to offer updates as things progress throughout the coming months. Obviously, we all hope for a fast return to travel and to cruising. If you'd like to keep up to date with all that's happening with COVID-19 in terms of rescheduling and cancellations, come to our website, www.getawaygang.com. Right at the top, we've got a constantly updating list of all that's happening in terms of reschedulings. Also, please join our Facebook group if you're not watching this within our Facebook VIP group. The link is below for you to join. And if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we thank you so much for your time. So I'll be back in the coming days and weeks with more news, and we'll talk to you soon.